Laman nyo.
Maybe.
Laman nyo.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever or whenever you may be. This is the Overnight. I am DM Foss, and tonight we have DJ Play Nice. How's it going, DJ?
It's going well. Glad to be here.
Glad to have you here. And are you back yet, G-Webs, or are you still away? Still away, I guess. So shortly we should have Gun Websites back with us. Tonight's chat, I don't have a topic. I've been worn out all week and didn't come up with anything, and so I didn't research anything. So it's an open topic night. Whatever anybody wants to talk about, we can talk about. Let's take a look out there, see who's Gun Websites. Who's out there? It says third thumbs up, Gun Websites. X Adam 1. Better late than never. And Ozzy Osbourne barking at the moon. Shaggy Girl out there waving hello. And my internet is being really suspect tonight. When I started the chat, when I hit start chat, it was probably 20 seconds before it actually started the chat. So hopefully it'll hold on. But yeah. And let me get the banner going. So at the bottom of the screen, there's a banner scrolling down there with an email address on tacticalfoss@gmail.com and a link. And those are a couple ways that you can send in comments, suggestions, or pictures within reason. And if you watch this in replay, leave a comment. Anything we talk about, agree with, disagree with, think we left out, let me know. I always read the comments, and they're always appreciated. And in the description, there's a link for the Gilded server. It's a place to hang out, chit chat, share memes, pictures. You can get a hold of me or most of the other people that come on the chat. You can get a hold of them too through Gilded. I think that's everything. So, yeah. Let me get back to the comment. There we go. But I don't know. What's anybody want to talk about? I did go
So you're
down
keeping it open to.
today. I went down and I filled out a 4473 for something, but I'm not going to say what it is until I have to wait for the state of Washington to tell me it's okay to have another gun, another firearm, which would seem ridiculous because if I already have some, and I have even on top of that, I have my concealed carry license, which means they checked looked even closer at me. So I have both a concealed carry license, which says I'm okay to carry a gun, and I already own a gun, but the state needs to look at me again to make sure I'm doubly okay for another one. And if they denied this one, they're not for some reason, which there's no reason for them to, I don't know, just kind of seems ridiculous to me. Gizzard Gary's out there. Good evening, Gizzard. If you're gonna be up, jump in. You know where the link is.
Yeah, I'm sorry for your suffering. I'm sorry for your suffering when it comes to a waiting period kind of thing. I mean, Nebraska doesn't have one. The only kind of hitch in our giddy up is that if for handgun purchases, you have to get a purchase permit or have the concealed carry permit, but LB 77 removes the concealed carry thing. So you still have to go to the is it sheriff or state patrol? I think it's state patrol. And get that. No, it's county sheriff. I'm befuddled. My bad. I'm a little underslept as well. So yeah, it's $5, which isn't too high a price to pay. The gate fee for that. And I think it's good for 3 years, kind of deal. But yeah, it's no waiting. You get it, you got it, you're done.
That's the way Washington used to be back in the before 1639 was passed, and it was if you had your concealed carry. I don't recall what it was if you don't, but if you had your concealed carry, you go in, they run the NICS, and then you can leave as soon as the NICS check comes back. Mm-hmm. After 1639, now it needs to go to your local. So if you're in the city, it goes to whatever your city to police department. If you're outside city limits, it goes to the sheriff's department. Once they run the background check, and part of it too was the FBI told Washington State, we're not going to do your NICS checks anymore. We were just doing it as courtesy. You're on your own. And so my city I live in now, it's usually most of the time it's been like 4 days for them to get back. They're relatively quick, I guess you could say. So it's not too bad. But yeah, no, it is kind of stupid, but it is what it is for now.
It's like the requirement to be passed through a vetting process. There's a stage before kind of thing. And I don't know if it provided reassurances to somebody legislatively. I mean, I don't get it. I don't dig it. I don't get it, but it's kind of like a whatever, man, honestly, for me. But I'm sorry for the states that have to deal with that stuff. And I certainly hope that kind of thing doesn't cross over these, my state borders.
Yeah, Ozzy said there's a 3-day wait in Illinois, and they have a FOID card. They tried to pass the FOID card here this last session, which thankfully it failed. But that's more ridiculousness. So you have for FOID card, it gives you permission to go buy the gun. So they check you to make sure you're okay to buy a gun. Give you permission to go buy a gun. You go buy the gun, and then they check you again to make sure you're okay to buy a gun. Yeah.
To toss out a riff on Animal House, that's like being on double secret probation.
Yeah.
Ugh.
JLM's out there asking what is a FOID. A FOID is what's the FOID stand for? Firearms.
I don't know what the O is either. And then ID is just kind of self-explanatory. Fire, yeah, I don't know. Well, Ozzy, fill us in, man. What's the O in? O stand for?
But the FOID card is,
there we go,
before you can even go to purchase a gun. Some states have the FOID card where you have to be pre-approved to go purchase a gun. So the FOID card is, so Ozzy's saying firearms owner ID is what it is. So you have to be vetted before you even go to purchase a firearm, where they once again vet you. As Gary saying, avoid the FOID.
Nice riff, Gary. Yeah, can you imagine for somebody, a novice, a newbie, not knowing what those laws are, Washington, Nebraska, Kansas, Arizona, wherever it might be, and coming to learn that, oh, I just can't walk in and get a gun, or, whatever their initial response is to that kind of thing. I haven't seen that like in the flesh sort of thing, but that had me, with a quizzical look on my face. Like, I wonder what that's like when people realize that their liberty is restricted, kind of thing. Like the disgust that we're exhibiting here, you in particular, because you're, the restriction is yours there. Yeah, it's more than a trap.
There were a lot of people who found out for the first time during the tumult around the cough times, that wanted to buy a gun for protection and went in and realized how many hoops you have to jump through, that they didn't, they believed the lie that it's easier to get a book than to get a gun than get a book. That and fairy tales like that. But to Wesley Foster's out there, he said, is here, not a bot, going through withdrawals because the lack of gun show videos from Florida gun shows. Stop talking faster than I can type on a virtual keyboard on my cell. And X Adam 1. Come on, there we go. I know someone that lives in New Jersey, and they are currently jumping through obstacles trying to get a carry license. Gary said, it's so good to walk into a store, fill out a 4473, pay your money, and leave with your gun, at least here. Yeah, it was nice. It was nice to be able to do that.
I wonder what it was like. It's been a while. It's like not for likely any of us, or well, not for us or likely any of the listeners, but to not even have to do a 4473. To have unserialized firearms. It really was. In the building your own, constructing your own kind of thing. While that, I don't remember G Webbs if he's back and kick in the year, or perhaps that changed. But yeah, Gary just one step with greater liberty than what Gary's got there. I can't imagine what that would have been like.
Yeah, I can't remember if it was the NFA or the Gun Control Act, which one of those ones did that, mandated serial numbers. I was talking to a buddy at work who's looking at a 22, and it's old enough where it doesn't have a serial number. So we were kind of talking about that. Yeah, he was he was surprised by it, and said, "Yeah, you know, back before they were mandated, it was up to the manufacturer whether they wanted to have one or not, you know, for inventory tracking or whatever." Gary said, "And if you bought ammo in a holster, you could conceivably load it and carry it home." Exam 1 said, "I can still do that here in a private sale. Just hand over my money, get gun, walk away." That's another thing that 1639 in Washington State killed, was private sales. So everything has to go through, has to do a background check, even private sales now.
So I wonder if you or anybody else knows, because I have not been through the process. I have some that are unserialized handguns. What's the process for serialization? I mean, like, it's got to be a different application, a different ATF form or some damn thing.
Well, that I was trying to remember, because that came up in the last couple of years, where somebody asked the ATF about that. A gun shop asked, "What do we do?" And there was a small kerfuffle over that. People upset that the gun shop was asking questions, because the ATF has the eye of Sauron, that once they fixate on something, it's usually not good. I can't remember what came out of that.
I would imagine, I'm going to have to look it up, but conjecture is not a good idea, but I would imagine it's like for transfer, because there has to be a record of the transfer for handguns. So
yeah,
curious.
But yeah, I don't recall what the ruling was on that. Oh, transferring unserialized handguns, like a firearm that's old enough where it didn't have a serial number. How did the paperwork is done on that?
Like how it's done today in 2023 when the gun never had one.
Yeah,
it just says you type in like unknown serial number, you type some that or on some abbreviation of it in there. But there's lots of guns that don't have them or whatever, or you can't find it. And if you can't find it, you can still put in there, no known serial number.
Do you recall what there was a small blow up over that, where a gun shop had asked the ATF, and a bunch of people got upset over that. And I can't remember if it was them just asking or if it was over the response the ATF gave. As maybe just a couple of years ago. Yeah.
I don't remember. I mean, I guess it's possible, but I don't remember it of being any consequence or anything.
So, G-Webs, do you know, was it the NFA, or was it, I'm guessing, was it the NFA where serialization was part of that? That's what it started?
Barbecue saying the Gun Control Act, if he remembers correctly.
68 is when we required it, but it might have been started in either 38 or something else. But I think I kind of vaguely remember somebody talking about it starting at something else, but it was in 68 that they said, hey, you know what? That's a great idea. That'll solve crimes. If somehow we create all this burden and act like they were super dangerous, then that'll stop crime.
Well, if Guns and Barbecue's out there, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, X-Adam said no serial number, no paperwork. Simple.
That wouldn't work in Nebraska. I'm not sure exactly how it does. But if Guns and Barbecue worked in a shop for a while, I don't know if Dunham's carried firearms that old in the used department or something like that. But need a resident expert tonight.
What did the subject come up from?
Legislation and pathways to ownership restrictions like FOID cards, waiting periods. That's the catch up.
Yeah, there wasn't a topic, so we're just kind of talking about whatever comes up.
And really, it's only in New York where you have to worry about those things. I could see residents of New York being concerned about them, but the rest of the state, come on, man.
Speaking of New York Outcast is out there. Good evening.
No.
And Outcast, I don't know if you ever watch my chats and replay, but a couple chats ago, I put a picture of flower bed that I did. I mentioned it and showed the pictures just for you in case you watched it, so you can see my workmanship. So go back through and scour every chat to go find that picture.
And barbecue's right. It's GCA.
What's going on, barbecue?
Oh, not much. I'm just doing some late night cleaning and organization. But yeah, GCA is what actually mandated serial numbers, and the reason people made such a kerfuffle about the gun shop asking about, how to log in a firearm that doesn't have a serial number is not, I don't think it was necessarily that they asked it, but according to the FOIA requests that the GOA had gotten back, it was literally one shop that asked one question, and that's what gave us the new framing receivers rule. Which, if you remember, with the framing receivers rule, they claimed that they were getting all kinds of questions about how do we log these, and this is why ghost guns are so bad, blah blah blah. And then they came up with the PMFs, privately manufactured firearms and all that BS. And then that FOIA request was submitted, and turned out it was just one question by one shop.
Maybe they asked a bunch of times, so they just counted it over.
Yeah.
Ozzy said it's not really hard to get a CCL in Illinois as long as you have an extra $350, a free 16 hours for classes, and 3 months of waiting.
Price of admission is steep, Illinois.
I don't remember if ours has changed, but we were a shall issue state. So it was, God, what was it, like $52, $62? There's like an extra $1 or $2 if you wanted it laminated. But you just go down, fill out the paperwork, they do the background check, and then usually within like 30 days, they mail you your license.
I wouldn't pay more than $1.75 for lamination. It's unconstitutional.
Dollar store.
But I know in the last batch of legislation, they were trying to change that. And I don't recall, because they were pushing the training, and I honestly can't remember if anything changed or not. Iron Road's out there. Said, hey, y'all, sorry I'm not in. I was enjoying my deer meat tacos. Ooh.
Deer balls?
And X Adam said, I wouldn't doubt that the ATF just said that they were asked or created an email and then just asked themselves, so they have record of a request. Yeah, you. I don't know. Were you out there listening barbecue, or were you
A little bit.
doing something? I had mentioned I filled out a 4473 on something that I'm not going to say what it is yet. So I am able to pick it up. I went down, was able to touch it.
Nice.
Just need to wait for the state to tell me I'm okay.
Ooh, yes. Tell us more.
That's all you get.
Darn it.
So hopefully next week I'll be able to pick it up.
Well, knowing your guys' newest amounts of tyranny, I don't believe it's going to be an AR-10.
No, because they're well, those are all banned right now.
Yep.
Pre-ban, it was they had tacked on an initial 10-day waiting period and the super duper extra scrutiny on top of your background check.
It's mighty kind of them.
What's going on, Iron Road? How you been?
Oh, not bad. How about yourselves?
Doing all right.
Just got done eating tofu tacos, eating venison. Just sounds like communism.
Eating venison?
Yeah.
What are you talking? Get that bad talk out of your mouth. That's an American thing.
And say just going out killing innocent animals to eat sounds
meat
awful.
Is murder. Meat is murder.
I like this. I got a little sticker on the back of my truck that says that has a picture of a deer running, and the caption goes, "I eat fast food." Gets a lot of weird looks from the greenies.
You should never get that shirt for a girlfriend.
Ozzy's asking
Totally different meaning.
or long gun. You'll have to wait. Just have to wait and find out.
And generically applying that to greenies is not wise. I wrote that's not accurate at all.
That sounds like an answer a shotgunner would give.
Yeah, it's more or less the vegans, the ones that slap their "stop eating animal" stickers everywhere.
If you didn't stalk it and kill it with your bare hands, was it really ethical?
I mean, I don't know. It's like I think I'd rather take the rapid loss in blood pressure to slowly fainting into bliss rather than being bludgeoned to death.
Wesley Foster said the Taurus made a copy of the FN 509. What model Taurus is it? I do not know. But I am really interested in the the Taurus TH10. I might have to get one.
And now we know what you're getting next week.
They officially came out with the TH45, which is a larger frame. And I looked on Sportsman Warehouse. They have the TH10 listed, but not. It's not in stock, so it looks like it is coming out. I have the TH9, which I think is a good pistol. I'm not shooting competitions with it, but it's a solid gun. You shake it, it doesn't rattle. So I am interested in the TH10. And they're only going to be like, God, what's it? $300 or $400, like maybe $430. take a look here. So Sportsman's Warehouse has them for $439.99 listed, but they're not available yet. Here, I'll show everybody will look at that. Hopefully we don't get in trouble for this, but that.
I'm
Kind
getting
of
some.
thinking I
I'm
want
getting
one.
some. I'm getting some SIG vibes in a way.
Yeah, a little bit.
It's got that curved trigger way up front, and it's also got the hammer in the back with that beaver tail. For $439 and having 15 plus 1 of 10 millimeter, it's kind of hard to pass.
Is there still a bounty on beaver tails in the Pacific Northwest?
There is on 15 round magazines.
Last I recall, the bounty is now gone, and the only people that can mess with dams are people that are chopping wood up in the hills, chopping down trees.
X Adam 1 said he'll pass. I don't know. I kind of like it.
Safety kind of, I'm kind of, yeah, but it's not the worst safety I've seen.
The
kind of gives me PT92 vibes in that one.
Can't remember because I watched LW Rhodes, watched his review of the 45. Can't remember if it was in his video or somebody I think mentioned that it doesn't have the decocker, which would be unfortunate if it's just a safety and not the decocker.
That would be a shame.
The TH9, and I would guess the TH40, but the TH9 I know for sure has the decocker because I have it. And it's very nice to have a decocker. But if there's anything anybody wants to talk about,
I don't think we're allowed to talk about Taurus this long without Gizzard being in here.
I was.
I don't feel right about it.
He said he was roosting, so.
Been kind of waiting for those Beretta Fit 1301s to come back on stock for Landon Tactical, but they always seem to come on stock when I don't have the money for it, or when something comes up, I have been eyeing ever since I got a 44 Magnum now, looking at maybe pondering the idea of trading my 357 Magnum lever action and for a 44 lever action. But the 357 is just too fun to shoot with the 38s in it. It's like a 22 in a way.
I don't know. I'd consider that maybe a push where you're going from, a good round to a good round.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the thing is that 44 special is just a little bit more than what I'd really want to, plink with. That's why 38 is why I like 38 being so cheap.
X Adam 1's asking, has anyone put some of those AR skins on their rifles? If so, are they easy to install and decently roughed?
Is that
it's kind of like the magazine skin.
Oh, I was gonna ask, is it not like the hydro
looked
dipping
at
or
them.
something like that? You know.
No, it's more like the sticker, or decal. I don't know which. But I looked at them online the other day, kind of stumbled across them. I thought they were interesting looking, but I've never actually tried them.
I live in Arizona. It's 111 or something. So I don't trust things that use adhesives for, because I'm worried about the heat. But I think there's potentially the same issue with cold. So, I've never been a big fan of any product that puts adhesive on a gun to hold. There's been some like grippy stuff for like adding texture instead of doing stippling or something. Instead of doing checkering, you just like add grip tape like from a skateboard onto a gun. I've never been a big fan of that stuff either. Because I've seen that it all slip around and just be gooey and essentially let go in Arizona heat.
At the gun range, this was a while ago, I was talking to the range officer, and he had grip tape on his. I think he had it. Can't remember if it was his competition gun, but we were talking, and he showed it to me, and I didn't care for that. How aggressive that grip tape texture is. I mean, it'll do the job. It'll hold on to your skin, but it's not comfortable to hold on to.
Yeah, like for me, I'm one of those people. I love something that's super aggressive as far as the grip texturing goes.
You like it aggressive and rough.
That's right. That is right. If it chews up my hand, better, even better.
He likes it to be really sticky in his hand.
Well, after my hand gets all sweaty, I mean.
Yeah, I'd rather have stippling or some like when I invented sticking a soldering iron into plastic body, plastic frames. I was like, oh, okay, I could see this because that's essentially like a really strong checkering. Because 1911 with a really good checkering is, I think it's easier to shoot.
That's one of the things that
hurts. It can hurt, but it's easier to shoot.
Yep, that's one of the things that made me fall in love with the Bull Armory was how aggressive it was. Same with the M&P 2.0. Again, how aggressive that grip was. I was just like, oh man, this is just awesome.
Trying to show off for New York Outcast out there.
Oh no, he loves Glocks. He acts like he likes Smith & Wesson, but really, I even saw a video, or not a video, but a photo where he's actually sitting there cleaning a Glock. Couldn't believe it.
Had a drop in connection. Don't know what happened there. Is that a chicken there, G-Webs?
This is a chicken pox.
So if it has feathers like a chicken instead of fur like a bear, are you still a furry, G-Webs?
It's
chicken feathers.
Chicken pox. This is a giant amoeba stuffed animal of a chicken pox. This is a giant amoeba. Right, this is a giant microbe. Sorry, this is a giant amoeba, and then this is a giant common cold. So this one is the chicken pox. Have you ever seen like a chicken pox in an X-ray? This is a pretty colorful version of it.
Is it to scale?
XM.
I know that they're millions of times
barbecue.
larger than real.
X Adam said barbecue, then you'd love the Wilson combat modules. Guessing they're
one day I'll get a Wilson Combat. One day, but man, those are a bit pricey.
X Adam is asking why we can't do super chats. I didn't monetize my channel. That's why there's no super chat option. That's just not my thing.
He prefers you to fold $100 bill, crisp $100 bill, and put it in a self-addressed stamped envelope to.
If people want to send Guns and Barbecue money, you can just put it in a box and mail it to me. And we'll just say it's for advertisement.
Barry said he
probably
doesn't
shouldn't do
like
that.
money. It's not that I don't like money. It's I have chosen to self-fund what I'm doing. I would rather, if whatever you were going to send to me, send it to another channel. There's lots of channels that could use the support. So there are many other good ways to spend that money.
I feel like supporting DM Foss would be a pretty gooder way, though.
Well, just
I
being
just wanted
here,
to say gooder.
just being here is plenty enough support for me.
Anybody use this stuff?
I have not. It's very popular with bikers,
Bicyclists or
motorcyclists.
Motorcyclists. Okay.
Well, also bicyclists.
What is it?
Yep. Monkey butt
Anti-monkey
powder.
butt.
Oh,
Yeah.
I've heard of it. Two Live Moo swears by the stuff, but never gave it a try. There was times where when I was riding, I thought about it, but I was like, I'll deal with the chafing and just ugliness and suffer for a week while this rash goes away.
So I never paid attention to it, but normally you got talcum powder, which is, I think, just rocks ground up, right? Talcum powder. And then this is cornstarch with calamine lotion in it. And then some other stuff.
And it's in an aerosol form?
No. It's just like
powder.
Oh,
it's
okay.
this is sticker, but there'll be holes in
I
it.
couldn't-
Like talcum
I
powder.
couldn't see the top because I was thinking, is the cap like
This
an
is
aerosol?
unopened. No, this is unopened. But then
Well, that
the
was
main
just
thing
giving
is
me
that
the,
it's corn starch instead of talcum powder, and then a little bit of calamine lotion mixed in there, so it's a little bit.
I was
sweeter.
just saying the glinting from the graphic design made it look like it was an aerosol can.
So I think this is the first original labeling is the deal, and now they do an AMB labeling. I guess monkey butt is offensive or something. So, FYI, Gizzard, this is a $26 bottle of monkey butt powder.
Speaking of offensive stuff, I'm only missing the for the offensive collection, as I like to call it. I got Aunt Jemima's and Uncle Ben's rice with the original, logo and their mascot. The only thing I'm missing is the Land O'Lakes.
Why are you collecting those, Iron Rib?
Why am I collecting those?
Yeah.
I just kind of figured that someday on the market they might go up in value.
I got you. So you're investing spec in advertising shifts in the early 21st century. I got you.
Yep. I mean, it's like, why not?
The Land O'Lakes package looks exceptionally strange to me. The others, because I don't purchase often, sort of thing. I mean, Uncle Ben's I kind of grew up with, and Mom liked to do the converted rice. So it is a little bit. That's the only one. That's the one really where it's just like, oh, really? Because I think Foss, you know the story behind Uncle Ben's, don't you?
Yeah. He was a real dude. That's his picture, and they removed him from society. Yeah. Way to go, progressives.
Well, and there was also like Aunt Jemima, like she was like a post-Civil War pancake maker or something like that, or there's like images of her with like stacks of pancakes, like about 2 feet tall on a plate.
Pancakes are one of the most offensive breakfast foods there ever have been. So, good riddance.
I remember when they did when they removed the Indian from the Land O'Lakes, the memes came out about that from my generation. It's like, oh look, they removed the people, but they kept the land.
Also, if you're interested in how pancakes stack up as a breakfast food against all kinds of other great breakfast foods. There's a guy that had a chat last Wednesday night, did a bracket on breakfast foods. You should check it out.
Can't beat brackets. Brackets.
Eric
It's what's for breakfast.
M509 is out there. Good evening. I bought a little pan today. A little pancake pan. It's in the shape of a monkey face.
Oh,
But I thought
goodness.
my daughter would like those. But I realized you need 2 pans. So you cook it in that pan to get the face, and then you have to cook the other side. You have to put it in another pan to cook the other side. And it's like, nah, I don't think I want it.
Oh yeah, because it's
Absolutely.
invert. You have to get the inverse.
Yeah. So I want to get one of those squirt bottles, like the ketchup or mustard bottles. I've seen people that will use that to draw pictures of the
Oh yeah,
pancake.
that's a thing.
You do your outline, and that cooks.
You are roboting hard, sir.
Is that him?
Yeah. Boss, you robot big time kind of deal. But if you take back to your monkey pan, if you do a transfer with a plate, so on the pan you invert a plate, and then you flip the pan so it's on the plate, and then you slide back in. That's the restaurant technique for that kind of stuff, getting both sides on one deal.
What if you cook
Eric
50% of the way?
But
What if you cook 50% of the way on the pan and then flip it over and kick it the rest of the way in the microwave?
what
The first
yeah.
the first thing I
M509
ever
said sad
cooked.
news today.
Sorry.
Just saw Paul Harrell saying he has pancreatic cancer.
Oh shit.
I saw he put out a channel update, but I didn't watch his video.
Yeah, the first thing I ever cooked for myself was an oversimplified version of pancakes. I didn't know what went in them, but my dad had bought a microwave. So this is circa like 1975. So I'm like a kindergartner, and I took flour and milk and whatever else, and that was my first microwave adventure. And it was a dial, just turn a dial for the timer kind of thing. There was no temperature settings or anything like that, no defrost. And then I put marshmallows on them. I don't remember if they were good or not, but yeah, I just had a flashback memory to the first time I cooked anything. What was the first thing you can remember cooking?
First
Anybody
time
on
I
the
remember
panel?
cooking something I wanted to cook. First thing I remember. Am I here or am I? Hello.
You're good.
Yeah, this is gonna get annoying.
Loud and clear, boss. Loud and clear. You're all
First thing
good.
First thing I remember is I wanted to cook something for my dad. So this would have been pre-78. But I took a casserole dish, hot dogs, celery, peanut butter, added water, carrots. I had probably anything I could think of, and then boiled it.
Oh,
I don't
wow.
remember if he ate it or not.
What about you,
But
barbecue? It's in your name.
That A1 steak sauce does not taste good on hot dogs.
Oh, since when does it taste good on anything? Is my question.
Well, I would, as a kid in the 70s, you see all the commercials for the A1 steak sauce where everybody says it's great. So I thought, well, if it's great, it's probably great on hot dogs. No, it's not great on hot dogs. That was the first time and the last time I ever tried A1 steak sauce.
Now, if you
Ham-
have bad hot dogs, it'll be fine. But if you have good hot dogs, you just ruin good hot dogs.
And what was the slogan? A1 makes hamburgers taste like steak burgers. Yeah, that was an ad campaign for a while.
Yeah, I suppose that makes sense because Dairy Queen for a while had their A1 burger going on.
Yeah, I don't mind it. I mean, I had a buddy who would that was his gig. Just a minced onion, A1 hamburger, ground beef. Mix it up, patty it out. I mean, it's all right kind of thing. I mean, the my shelf has got at least 2 bottles of 57 on it all the time. I just like, it's the total ketchup with a kick because I will not do ketchup. Ketchup's an abomination.
I mean, you're gonna hate me.
If
I used to do that as a kid, but that was because we were poor.
Yeah, if you have to put sauce on your steak, you've got a bad steak.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Oh, bad.
Well, that's what ketchup and all those sauces were made for, is because people used to have to eat bad stuff before refrigeration, and you choke it down with those kind of sauces.
Yeah, pre-muckraker, all the nasty food processing things that go on. It's covered.
We lost Faust. Hopefully, we didn't lose the stream.
All right.
Sometime.
No, it won't lose the stream. Let's say StreamYard doesn't cut it like that. And say we could be here many hours until Faust gets back.
There he is.
He'll probably never get back. We're never going to see him again.
So we got your channel monetized while you were gone, Faust. You can thank us later.
Your channel can now accept chocolate.
My internet has been doing
Weird things.
in past.
Yeah. Sounds like it's about time to.
I was a little
complain
confused.
to
I
your
noticed
service provider.
pre-chat that my signal,
Try shutting down the camera.
Yeah, that helps.
which I don't. Yeah, I gotta. Yeah, hang on here. Because I don't have a picture set up. So I gotta get a picture going here.
I've used a
All right.
piece of chocolate to attract a turtle.
To attract a turtle. Since there won't be a face, I'll start mine then. Let's go.
So what else do we want to talk about?
Any new calibers that people have seen out there that are pretty interesting?
There's 2 new calibers.
I'm curious on the 400 Legend. I don't know why. It just it piqued my interest for some reason.
Nobody needs that many legends.
Something piqued my interest the other day, but it's kind of ticked off because I already have this in the Remington Magnum version, but it's the 7mm PRC, and I'm kind of irritated because it's like that just came out a few months ago, and about maybe a year ago I bought a 7 Rem Mag. So I'm just sitting there going like, if I knew that thing was coming out a year earlier ago, I would have just held off on the 7 Rem Mag, bought a PRC.
I'm really interested in the new 5022. Took a 50 BMG case, necked it down to a 22, shooting a 223 projectile out of it. It's pretty friggin' wicked.
That's too much. I don't like shooting that much mass, so I necked that down to a 17.
That's what I thought too. I was like, man, that would be awesome in a 17.
I just gotta sit there and think, like, that much powder behind that small of a projectile, I would almost assume that it would get vaporized as it goes down the barrel.
Not quite, but it's putting out like 6,715 feet per second, I think it was.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's insane.
Thing is screaming.
Well, that's been around for a while.
How many muzzle
Well,
velocities
that's
is it?
the
I don't know. I'm just talking out my ass.
Oh,
the buddy at work, the rifle that he was looking at that doesn't have the serial number, it is a 2250. And so he was kind of asking me about that. Not
If
a
he's
50-22, but
If he's looking for a varmint gun, I would definitely try to sway him over to like the 243. Unless he's shooting those stupid prairie dogs that are annoying as hell.
Well, it's an old gun that somebody house that they bought. So he was going to buy it just because it looks neat. It's really good condition for how old, I forget how old it is. But that's why he was looking at the 2250, because that's the rifle that
22-250? 22-250?
Yes.
Something like that.
I don't know of a 2250, but I know the 22-250 for sure.
Yeah, I assume it's the 22-250, which is a pretty sweet little round.
What do you have chambered in that barbecue?
Absolutely nothing. I had a buddy that used to do PRS with one, though.
Is it a caliber you consider?
If I found as a rifle where I'm just like, oh man, I really like that rifle, and it's in 22-250, and it's gonna go be a safe queen, absolutely, because at this point I'm still stuck at the situation where I can't shoot rifles anymore because of my vision, unless I can find an optic that will allow me to do so again. I'm SOL, and I've been striking out in all those departments. So I've got one last ditch effort where I'm going to try one of those scopes that has like a little screen on the back, but those are expensive. So
have you ever tried just getting closer to your target?
I mean, I could, but I don't think they let you do that in like a PRS or anything.
What about just getting a scope and then getting a bracket that holds like an iPad and then looking through the optic through an iPad?
I've thought about rigging something up like that myself.
You can just buy the adapter. They make it for people that are making YouTube videos or just doing anything. They make adapters for that.
Well, the problem is though, is the adapter going to mount to a firearm? Is the adapter then going to also withstand recoil?
Yeah, they're made out of aluminum. They're not. They're like some money, but they're not that.
Lever action 22.
Yeah, this is. I think this is what he said it was.
Doing hunting and stuff. It says 22-250 is for 1939 or 1937, and it's for small game, can reach 4,000 feet per second, and it has very light recoil. So it's used by women and young children for deer hunting because of its low recoil. Sometimes known as the 22 Varminter.
I believe this is the rifle that he showed me a picture of.
Seems that's a 22 necked. What's behind it? Like looks like a 30-06 or something. But it's weird to have a tubular magazine with that. I wonder if they're spinning around or poking into the rims or something. Barbecue? Are those things just smashing into the primer?
I honestly don't know. I've never seen one with a tube feed like that. My buddy's was a bolt action with an internal box.
Sometimes they make them where they kind of are like helical and they'll kind of spin around so that they don't really ever smash into each other's primers. And then sometimes they're kind of like on a slant. Other times they're just smashing into the primers. Like they don't worry about it. But these are pretty pointy round with the primers.
Yeah, the ones my buddy shot had a good point on them. And say he was taking woodchucks at 800 yards with his.
This X Adam 1 has a question. He says, "What do prairie dogs do? Just dig holes and damage grass?" And it's not so much that they damage the grass; it's just that the holes are the problem because they come in flocks. So as a rodent, you could have like one of them, and then all of a sudden next month you got 10, and they dig large tunnels in the ground, And the thing is that it's a risk to your livestock and your horses, because all it takes is one wrong hoof to step in those things, and you got an animal with a busted leg.
Yeah, no doubt. I'm actually living on the prairie, and varminting was something that my dad grew up doing.
I'm sending a picture, and I'm trying to get it to come up here.
In a little house.
Of a scope with a monitor.
No, when they shoot a prairie dog, they're shooting it with a super high velocity at a distance, so it essentially explodes. They don't eat it; they leave it out there for birds or something to eat it.
Yeah, that's why they like to use like.
Or they shoot them and explode them, and then wait for a coyote to come out, and then they shoot the coyote, and then they let some bird eat the coyote.
They use like popular rounds. I know it's like 17 Winchester Magnum.
HMR.
Or
Hornet.
yeah, like HMR.
Swift. Yep.
Yep, and the Swift. Swift has gotten more popular than 22-250 for some reason. I don't
think
know
about
why.
the whack-a-mole game. That's because of things like ground things. So they're skittish to begin with because they're used to like a bird coming down out of nowhere and wailing on them, or maybe a fox jumping in out of nowhere. So they're super skittish. So if a hunter, well, they're not really hunters, varminters will try to get a shot, and it isn't as easy as it sounds. It's a tiny thing. You got to shoot it before it jumps back in its hole because it'll be scared of anything, including its own shadow or whatever. So you want a fast, flat shooting little bullet that usually throws all its energy as soon as it hits something, and then they explode, and they think that's hilarious to watch these things explode. So it's hard to take it too seriously, but essentially they need to go out there with something that's fairly economical because they're about to sit out there all afternoon hitting dozens of them probably.
On that's the thing
If you want to
too.
go out,
Like,
you miss, I'm sure.
on an X-Adam 1 saying it's like you'd have a nice day with 22 long rifle, and it's like you could do it with 22.
No.
It's just not with great effectiveness because the thing
You wouldn't hurt them. They also aren't like pretty tough, so they need.
Well,
to,
you have to
they
get
want to
so.
kill them.
Well, with 22, you have to get actually pretty close to them, and the thing is, there's a certain line where you can only get so close before you spook them, and they won't ever come out of their holes until you
Yeah,
leave.
no, exactly. You got to be far away. Plus, people like doing this. That's their entertainment, I think. So they do it.
I'd be doing that all day with 243, to be honest.
So that was what the picture that X-Adam won, but I will email it to you, Barbecue, because
Did you see that barbecue?
Thanks, boss.
Not-
No, I
not-
didn't see it, but I'll check out the email.
Both times I've tried to share the picture of it. The last time it kicked me out, so I don't want to risk it. But I will
Oh, snap.
forward the email again.
Thank you. Yeah, because if there's just some sort of bracket or something that I can get to mount a phone in, like that would be pretty sweet. Because like the scope that I have, I really like my scope. Because that's the one thing I'm like, getting one of these scopes that has a screen on it, things like that. How?
Oh, were you saying
accurate.
screen like? I thought you mean screen. You mean screen like a monitor.
Yeah, like a monitor.
I was
'cause I know
thinking
that-
screen like some kind of a. I was thinking something else. Okay.
That's all right. I'm gonna say it's my fault for not saying monitor, really, but yeah. I know. I want to say it was shortly before I lost my vision, maybe a little after. I don't remember 100%, but right in that ballpark, I had started seeing, scopes that had monitors on them. I was like, oh, that's cool, but I mean, they were ungodly expensive. And hopefully, 5 years later, technology has gotten to a point where it's cheaper to manufacture and things like that, or it's one of those things where it didn't catch on and they were just a flash in the pan and gone forever. But I've seen different ideas on how to make a unit to hold a cell phone and just mount it to your scope. It's actually really simple. Just takes a little bit of plumber's PVC rubber hose type stuff to wrap around with an end cap and small Dremel and a couple of self-tapping screws and blah, blah, blah. It's really not a bad thing to do. And honestly, if I ever got around to doing it, I'd probably do a video on it just because, you know, I do have other blind shooters that follow me. That'd be a thing that could be helpful. But part of the reason I don't get around to it is if you do it, you need to have a cell phone case that has, or that, you know, that has one of those external carrying cases with like the clip or something. So it actually clips onto the phone, because that's what you're going to use to mount to that. And I don't have a spare cell phone or anything that's laying around. So I'm going to have to find like a used iPhone or something, and, you know, then track down a old OtterBox that has the clip case or something. And I've just got so many other things going on in life all the time where, you know, that's never a thing on my priority list that gets to the top before something else more important pops up.
I forwarded you the email, and middlecrosshead.net. And it's the picture he sent you. It has a 7-inch monitor that mounts on your
That'd be awesome.
rifle.
Oh, it mounts on the rifle. So I could still use the scope that I have, theoretically.
Yep.
Oh, snap. That'd be amazing.
The way it is in the picture.
Because, like, I mean, just the screen on my camera, that's only a 3-inch screen. And that thing is, I mean, with electronic viewfinders now, that's one reason I upgraded my camera, was optical viewfinder, you know, use the mirror, stuff like that. I would have to still look at the regular screen, but then they made the EVF, so it's literally just a little TV screen where you're looking through your viewfinder, and I can actually take photos like a normal photographer with that tiny screen. And then if I look at the back of the camera, that's even better. So something that would have a 7-inch screen, that would be freaking amazing.
Well, I'm not sure if you can still use your scope, because it mounts on the back of your scope, you know, looks through your scope. So I can't tell in this picture if you can look through the device.
Well, as long as it allows me to actually use my firearm, like I don't need to be able to sit down on the scope as you traditionally would, as long as it allows me, one, to see the crosshairs now, and two, see the target downrange, because that was one of my other problems, even zooming that scope to, I think it goes up to 27 power. At 100 yards, it just was not well enough for me to try and see the target. Now, I have gotten targets that will offer a higher contrast. I got FBI silhouette targets that have a blue silhouette. So that actually allows me to see a lot better downrange. One, because blue is the color I see best, maybe green, but I'm pretty sure blue's the color I see best now. And you just, again, you have that contrast against the rest of the paper, you know, being that beige, egg colored white or whatever. And then the back stop, you know, is dirt and wood and everything else. So shooting at those with a rifle and, you know, something like that, yeah, that'd be pretty freaking sweet. I'm looking forward to looking at that. Thank you.
Yeah, I was looking at just called up their website. So yeah, looking at another picture, yeah, The device mounts on the back of your scope, so it looks through your scope on a monitor. The back of it's solid, so you couldn't look through your scope, but you
you have to
can
look
see
at the
what's
monitor.
in your scope on the monitor.
Yep. Now, does the monitor attach behind the scope, or is the monitor like sitting on a table?
It's on the scope, about in the middle.
Okay, cool.
And
Let's say because I've seen
there's
some
different mounting options.
Yeah, and I sent you the picture. I screen capped the picture and sent it to you, texted it to you. I'll pull that up.
So there's pictures of it with it mounted on top of the scope. There's one here on an AR that's mounted on the side, the handguard.
Interesting.
And I think there might be different screen sizes you can get. Possibly, it kind of look like maybe.
Yeah, if I could get one that just mounts behind the scope.
A little bit spendy.
With everything else that I've spent on,
there's a night vision one.
Yeah.
Yeah, check out I'll send you the link for the website. I'll text it to you.
Okay. Yeah, if I can get something that actually mounts behind the scope so I can actually get down on the rifle and whatnot still, that'd be nice. Because I've seen ones where it, just has this little cup that goes over the back of your scope, and then you've got this screen off to the side. I'm like, well, that's going to be a little awkward. You're down on the rifle and you're trying to, look at that screen over there, and or it's mounted up above the scope, and I'm like, again, so yeah.
So like, do you think that it's probably do you think it's because you are habituated to being down on the scope like you're talking about that would prevent you, or like not, like, I don't know, be scary or some shit, or like tilting the monitor up and doing it from a standing position, or like just leaning back on the bench? Why do you have to get back up on the scope kind of thing? Is it like
what's going on with the rifle, right? There's recoil, and normally you were there to stop that. So if he's just going to stand next to the gun and look down, hear what's stopping.
I was thinking bench rest if he's going to do like distance stuff competition, because you and I've talked about that. So I just like wondering, because if it's sandbagged and whatever, I mean, it's almost like a video game, like
but you still have to sit
Okay.
there and have something to stop the rifle unless you're going to put it in a lead sled. But then
that's what I was imagining.
That's kind of just taking all the fun out of it at that point.
Yeah, the thing I was thinking of was essentially just a metal thing that made of aluminum that goes on the back of the scope, right? Instead of the rubber cup that's normally back there. And then it holds an iPad so that the camera from the corner of the iPad is right there by the optic. And then you have this monitor. And it was so that you could take pictures through your iPad essentially, but you could also take video if you really want to just watch somebody search around with a crosshair. So you're going to see, what do they call it? Like a two-dimensional. You're going to see a flat version of what's going on through the optic. You're going to see the crosshair. You're going to see, whatever it is your optic is looking at. So with what you're talking about, you'd be all up behind it, and you'd essentially be like a little kid standing right in front of a television. You'd just be looking right at this big monitor where, with both eyes open, as opposed to trying to squint into a optic and accept all, trying to get all that light in. All that light would be going into the iPhone camera and just popping up on the screen. So all you'd have to do is focus on that big ass screen.
Well, it's actually, I don't actually squint when I shoot anyways. I'm a 2-eye shooter.
Through an optic though?
Or it used to be.
Yeah, even through an optic.
So what about HUD? There's got to be some like military HUD thing that would work out for this. I mean, Spectre Solutions is all up in that shit. Like, I wonder if there's something there. And like infrared was mentioned earlier. I mean, I know that doesn't do anything for tournament shooting or marksmanship in that style, but anything to get you back out in the field would be welcome, I would imagine.
Have you thought about getting cybernetic implants so that you can see through all the visible and non-visible spectrums, sort of like what Geordi does in Star Trek?
It'd be interesting.
That visor thing is ugly, though.
So there's a computer in your brain. Big deal.
I'm waiting for what's his face, Elon Musk, to get done with that. Oh, what the heck is it? Neuralink or whatever. See if that would help at all.
You just see straight into the internet, but all this stupid reality.
Because my issue is I have severe damage to my optic nerves. So I'm curious if like that Neuralink would be able to stimulate them to make me see again.
Go
But
right past them. Sort of the same thing as when somebody can't hear something and they put something on their back and it tickles their back, and then pretty soon their brain figures out how to remap the tickle into audio. So they'll probably just bypass it, right, with some kind of neural link up. And okay, you're having problems here. We'll just link in right behind that, and there you go. And you'll just see in some like Matrix version of seeing, which will probably have more, more spectrum or something, or more detail.
So I sent you barbecue. I sent you the link. X-Atom isn't sure about the website because they only take Venmo or PayPal. And
if it takes PayPal, that's not super terrible.
No, not even super terrible. It's just fine because the backup that you get by doing PayPal payments is how you keep from getting ripped off by international shippers and the like. So,
yeah,
I mean, glad for the caveat there from X-Atom, but that's becoming a trend more and more as well. It's easier, it's cheaper for them to process because there aren't the associated fees with credit card transfers. So Venmo, it's like it's bank transfers now instead of Go ahead.
I did a search on one of their items and on the Googles, and there's a few articles that pop up referencing that item and their website. So it, to me, would add a little bit of legitimacy. But so just so you're aware.
Oh, let's say this actually.
It's just the Venmo that kind of kind of gets me concerned, but the PayPal that kind of gives them some legitimacy in a way.
This actually looks really similar to units that I've seen on Amazon. A lot more expensive than the ones on Amazon, but with the way it looks like it's mounting, a lot of them look like they're just mounting over head of the scope, which wouldn't be a huge deal. Like I could always make a cheek riser or something to get my head up more to be in line with that screen at that point.
Would you rather they figure out some way to hook into your brain and give you like Terminator eyesight where you got like you can zoom in and out and you can see thermal, or some kind of Matrix eyesight where you get like a 3D knowledge of what's out? No, like what kind of like what what's his face? What Daredevil has, where he just sort of has radar. Would you rather have like some kind of a digital radar to know in 3 dimensions where everything just is, like there's a digital rain falling on everything and you just know where everything is spatially? Or would you rather have like some kind of thermal digital zoom eyesight from a robot?
Number 2. Thermal digital. That'd be pretty sweet.
That reminds me.
Lost one eye.
I just read a short article. I can't remember if it was a company or a university figured out how to use a Wi-Fi router to take 3D images of a room.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. And determined by like the signal strength or some shit where everybody is in the room, and then monitor where they're walking around. So that's what I mean, like some kind of Daredevil 3D imagery. Through that.
Soon the government will be able to spy on you through your Wi-Fi router.
It's like echolocation.
About it, it's already a thing that can be done and is used.
It's probably already a thing, but
it's similar to echolocation.
It's definitely more. It's another deal that kind of makes me more upset that the fact that Mark Zuckerberg knows when you poop.
That's why I always lay on the floor or hug up against the wall, or occasionally I'll jump up onto the ceiling. And, like,
you wear a suit made out of copper mesh,
suction cups,
a Faraday suit,
tinfoil. Yeah.
You know, like how bicyclists will have like a suit that's aerodynamic. I wear a suit that's aerodynamic to Wi-Fi's.
Yeah, Those jack wagons are going by the highway right now.
What the hell are you talking about, man?
Oh, is it the TSP?
Yeah, the frickin' Seattle to Portland.
STP. Sorry, STP.
You
Yeah.
have a bicyclist race.
Yeah, it goes from Seattle down to Portland. You can either do it in 1 day or 2 days. And I used to live in the city that was the stop if you were going to do the 2 day. And they rode by our house, and it's annoying as hell because they don't follow the traffic laws.
I don't hate individual bicyclists. I just hate all bicyclists because of what they do in there.
I don't mind bicyclists. I just could tell which ones are the jack wagons. It was when they're wearing that outfit because it tells me that they have insufferable personalities.
We got a deal.
Are you kidding, man?
They drive around in a big circle.
I mean, what a load of horse shit. I mean, like, if you're like all camoed out doing your thing, if that's your jam, they're thinking you're a jack wagon. Like, I don't know, man. You got to tether that wagon to something else.
There's a thing where they drive around Tucson, so because of that, they practice constantly.
Woods is out there. He said he just got a Stoker Condor, and I'm guessing 12.
Ooh.
But no, like
yeah, I'm super jealous.
Is that
we did applaud one of my hometown cops in Columbia City. He it's a town of it's like a really small town, like town of 400, and there's only like 2 city cops. But the thing is, like, he was sitting right next to the red light, and he gave out to each cyclist, I think, like, in 1 day, he gave 400 citations for failure to stop at a red light for the 1-dayers that were trying to compete, for the time.
Well, that's kind of weird.
Because in Oregon, bicycles are considered a motor vehicle, and you can be pulled over and cited as you would a normal car.
Yeah, but at the same time, if everybody's doing some kind of a thing that everybody knows what they're doing, it's kind of a weird flex.
Like marathons.
Yeah. Like, oh, look at all these people running. We didn't stop to yield or whatever. Like, yeah, of course, because we're fucking running a group, there's cones and shit. Like, come on.
Funeral processions.
That's
blocking off intersections and having to run.
It's not coned off, and at the same time, they're causing annoyance to drivers and other motorists trying to go somewhere and do stuff too.
I work with a guy who he used to ride the STP, but he would ride it on his mountain bike just because instead of a 10-speed.
I was going to say, y'all should go to that and insist on driving one of them big wheel bikes where you got that giant one big ass wheel and one tiny wheel behind it, and then just be like, I insist on riding this bike, and then get upset about everything. Like, the bridges are too low or whatever.
My retired neighbors, the wife used to always talk about he's going to go out and throw tacks in the road.
Jesus. What the fuck?
Hey, when they poop in your lawn, you'll know the pain, DJ.
Like, oh my God, like the modest imposition of someone in transit. Like, really? Like, almost regardless of the number, it just seems like, this is like, I would be more annoyed by a housefly who decided to make residence for 2 or 3 days than some bicyclist passing for a few hours or a day and a half or something like that. It's like, you guys hate bicycles.
It's not just the fact that it's just one bicyclist. It's the fact that it's thousands of them at any given time.
I'm aware of that because that's what you insinuated. So, I mean, I get that. I grew up in a small town where the Des Moines Register, this capital of Iowa, Des Moines, right? They have the RAGBRAI. It's their annual ride across Iowa. Nebraska has one too. It's called the Brand, Bike Ride Across Nebraska. Small towns, I don't know, boss, I don't know about your experience or if you want to go, if we're going to rabbit hole on this bullshit. But the small towns really liked the spike in commerce, basically. You had people that would set up, fruit stands. You're selling bananas, you're selling oranges. I mean, you hit a fruit distributor, you're selling that shit for $1 a piece, kind of thing, and you're turning bank to pay your mortgage for like 6-8 months. So I don't know.
It's not so much the event that pisses me off; it's just the lack of coordination of traffic control and stuff like that too. Because the thing is, like, we also have the event here in Oregon called the Hood to Coast, where marathoners or runners, they'll go from Portland and they'll run to the seaside coast. At least in that event, there's traffic controllers to keep for safety personnel to keep people from running out in freaking cars, because some of the people that are running from the hood, they just like, because the thing is, like, it's a completely different mentality out there when you're driving through Portland, because pedestrians, they don't, like, whether if they're runners or not, they'll just run right out in front of you without any regard.
No, well,
And
that's ridiculous.
And the thing is that it got to the point where they would just run right in front of drivers.
They should
few
just
of them got
require
hit.
cattle guards, and then it'll end real quick.
But at the same time, at least with the hood to coast, they're not running on like major highways per se.
Yeah, no shit. If it's like, oh, I'm riding on a bicycle, okay, you got to
They're
drive.
running on.
But if you're running, like, get off the damn road. You don't even need to be anywhere near the road. You're running
For
on
the
a
most
road.
For the most part, they're running on the sidewalk, and at the same time, they go
Why
through
don't
the
you
back
go run down a
roads.
path somewhere? The hell,
They
run
go down
the beach.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They go on the back roads and on running paths to get to the coast.
I don't have any sympathy for runners. There's no reason for that. We invented the wheel a fucking long time ago. Trying to prove.
What are they trying to prove?
I have no room for curmudgeons under the age of 30.
What do you think of runners that run on treadmill, G-Webs?
I don't got a problem with that. They're not bothering anybody, at least. They're not really running. They're just wiggling. But but if you're going to go run around, get yourself all out of breath and not pay attention, you're probably listening to some radio or something. You're just going to wander out in front of people. That's reckless. There's no need for that. Go on a running path or someplace, just run around in a circle.
Go to the high school track. Yeah.
Yeah. A million places. Go to some park, run around in a circle.
They're making another left turn.
Let me do this one while I'm thinking about it. GearWebsite.com for all your 2A related stickers, patches, t-shirts, posters, playing cards. And he also does technology consulting, website consulting, 3D design, 3D printing, you name it. He can probably help you out with it. GearWebsites.com.
Have we decided if Puppy lives or not due to being a spire, or if he's actually true American?
What?
He's communist. He was ruled communist by the people watching.
Oh.
But he continues to live.
He had a live chat where where G-Webs was answering a U.S. citizenship questionnaire for the dog Bacon Bit to decide whether if he was communist spy or not.
Iron Road, is there anything you would like to plug?
Got some good news, bad news for Oregon. The federal judge with 114 did some really oddball mental gymnastics with 114 and ruling that it's constitutional despite the Bruin and Heller opinion. And matter of factly, she goes off into misusing the opinion and just completely misunderstanding it. And if I had to say so myself, that it's just because she doesn't like the opinion. However, even though she's ruled it unconstitutional, it doesn't do jack in terms of the temporary restraining order that Judge Rashiel out of Harney County has put in place. So that's good news, and we are set for a trial in September, I believe. So not far out from the near future. And so we should be hearing the ruling pretty soon, assuming that off. Oregon Firearms Federation, which filed the federal lawsuit, doesn't get appealed, we would probably get that decision sooner. And from what I understand, it's going to be a full trial in that district.
X Adam sent in a picture, so we'll look at that real quick, and hopefully it doesn't take down my internet. I have to open the picture first. Hang on here, folks. Sent it in, said he couldn't remember if we looked at it. I don't remember if we looked at it either. But his yeah, let me blow her up a little bit. There we go.
I like that. Not too much of a fan of the gas pedals, but that looks real good.
I know I've seen it, but I can't remember if it was on this chat or someone else's. But I like the look of it. I think it looks good with the wood.
I definitely like those flat face forward triggers. I really do.
But that's the Sharps Brothers frame for the 365 XL.
I like it.
That's something that's so nice about the P365 or the P320 is that you could just frames. It's about time.
But it looks good. Barbecue. Anything you want to plug? Plug your show.
I got a show on Tuesdays. It's a dumpster fire most of the time. DJ's on there. He usually makes it better because, well, I've got no direction with it as of late. But that's fine. It makes for an interesting show. And it just hit me. I know what you're getting. I'm not going to say anything. Secret is safe with I. But yeah, thanks for the invite as always.
Have a good night, Hillbilly. Were you done talking, or?
I was, but then I just thought of something because I said thanks for the invite, but then I thought of something. If anybody wants to know what it is that Foz is getting, if you send me $5,000 in a cardboard box via UPS or FedEx, I will let you know.
I'll allow it. DJ, anything you want to
Yodel. Absolutely. I mean, it's a little predictable with me, so I'll try to throw a wrench or a curve into tonight. But Saturdays, and this was a Saturday on the A Great Start Shooting School channel, there's a discussion about mental health awareness and suicide prevention. Please take some of your time and contribute. Grab some presents. Barbecue was in there tonight. It's great to see him. G-Webs was there. It's a good crowd. It's a good message. And sometimes it's a good time. You'd be surprised. Swing by. In addition to that, yeah, I always plug Costly Conversations. But Armed Atlas is the sister channel for that gentleman. So check out Armed Atlas. And let's see. Yeah, until I see everybody again, be safe, have fun, carry your guns, and rock. I'm out.
G-Webs, you got anything coming up? Are you doing a chat tomorrow?
A bracket?
Probably. Are you doing a bracket tomorrow?
Can you go full screen?
No. Yeah.
A lot of people have inquired, and I have found a new tiny fork with even smaller things on it and a huge handle. So, tiny fork with tiny little tines and an amazingly huge handle. So, stay tuned for even more adventures with a weird tiny fork. You're welcome.
Oh boy.
So if there's any olives anywhere around you, you can get them.
Oh, I don't even need to be near them now. I have a super long handle. They could be 2 or 3 settings down from me, and I can still grab that olive.
Do anything you want to plug? other than your fork?
No, that's pretty much the new channel format. Will be all about tiny forks and different designs and uses of tiny forks. History of tiny forks. Tiny
fork websites.
Mm-hmm.
So I appreciate everybody that was out there in the live chat, chatting away, and those who might have been out there watching and didn't say anything. I appreciate you too. If you watch this in replay, leave a comment. Whatever we talked about. Again, I always appreciate the comments and I always read them. And G-Webs, there are shots to clear up those things there. But other than that, again, no Wednesday chats for now. So the mouse party will be next Saturday. Other than that, I guess spay or neuter your pets and have a good rest of the night.
You still here? It's over. Go home. No.